Hello there, fearfully and wonderfully made human. Welcome back to the Holistic Counselor podcast, where I hope faith, science, and holistic healing meet. And I'm your host, Diana S. Rice. Before we jump in, I want to ask a quick favor. If you've been enjoying these conversations, please take a minute to rate and review the show and share it with a friend. That simple act really helps more people find these episodes. And as we close out the year, it's one of the best gifts you can give to support this work. And don't forget to check out past episodes too, because there's so much wisdom waiting there for you. Now, I'm especially excited about today's conversation. I first met Lidiana Cartolano through the Mental Health Counselors Association of Palm Beach events. They always put great events. So if you're a registered mental health counselor intern, a social worker, anyone under the Florida board, and you're in Palm Beach, I suggest to check out the Mental Health Counselors Association in Palm Beach and in Broward, or the whole thing in Florida. Anyway, she immediately stood out as someone passionate about creating spaces for therapists and communities that are often overlooked. Here in Deerfield Beach, where I'm from, we have a large Brazilian population. So much so that people sometimes assume I'm Brazilian myself. I always have to laugh and say, nope, I don't follow Portuguese. But I've never had anyone come on this podcast to talk specifically about Brazilian mental health until today. Lidiana is a proud founder of VIVA Psychotherapy in Boca Raton, offering bilingual therapy in English and Portuguese. With over 23 years of experience, her work spans trauma, addiction, and the unique challenges faced by immigrant families. She's also the visionary behind the Brazilian Mental Health Professionals Collective, the first formal network of its kind here in the U.S. And as we head into the holiday season and the end of 2025, I hope this episode inspires you to reflect on the importance of community, culture, and connection in your own mental health journey. So, as we begin, let's thank Lidiana. Thank you, Lidiana, for being here.
Thank you so much, Diana, for having me here. It's an honor. It's an honor to talk about Brazilian community mental health. It's an honor to talk about the Brazilian collective, mental health professional collective, and introduce, my work in the community. And I think it's important to spread the word. And since I started my work here in Florida, it's been just 3 years,
Wow.
actually.
Oh, wow.
I lived in Massachusetts for a decade, and when I came here, I actually started like working more closely with the Brazilian community. So that's when I started noticing the need for more cultural sensitive approach to my community.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So let's start there because now that you just shared a little bit, you were a psychologist in Brazil?
yes, so let me talk about a little bit about my background.
Yeah.
So I'm a psychologist in Brazil. I'm a mom, I'm married, I have a daughter, and so I've been living here in the United States for almost 13 years. So when I came here, it was because of my husband's work. So I have to quit my career in my country and start all over here. So
Yeah.
kind of like when I see my clients, I totally can relate to them, especially in the immigration process. I've been there. I
Mm.
know their pain, I know their struggles to adjust. And in Brazil, I had my office, but I started my work like 20 something years ago in police stations and shelters with victims of domestic violence. And then I also developed like different social projects with adolescents in slum areas in Rio de Janeiro. I also uh, did clinical work in Brazil, but also I worked also industrial sector field and with change management. So when I got here, I couldn't like I was a psychologist in Brazil, but here I couldn't practice as a psychologist.
That happens, listen, that happens with a lot of fields. Like I've had doctors that come in and they can't practice. Now they're custodians.
Yeah.
So let's talk
And
about that a little
I
more.
had my master's in Brazil. I was like, I'm a public health specialist there. So I had my master's in public health and I was starting my doctor program. And when I got here, I was told that I have to restart over again. And if I want to pursue and continue that career, mental health. So it
Hmm.
was a big shock for me. It took me, it takes like 5 years to go over the entire path of licensure, becoming fully licensed. So,
Hmm.
I have just to swallow my pride and go back to college.
Well,
Because
that's hard for many immigrants to do. I'm okay, so I'm a daughter of an immigrant. So it's very different. So my mom came from Colombia
Mhm.
and to New York City and she didn't have a career. Like she came at a very like 18 years old, 19 years old and then got pregnant with me at a young age. But anyway, and I was the spoiled American in my family.
Okay, gotcha.
It's a different thing, but I know being raised by she taught me a lot. Like I really respect the immigrant journey because you come here for that American dream. And then I also know working in alternative high schools in Broward, a lot of the parent, that's how I know these stories and stuff because I dealt with the kids, but or the kids that come at 14 or 13 and they get thrown into a Broward County school with no English.
Yeah.
Right. And so for you, did you come knowing a little bit of English or you
Yes,
just,
yeah. I studied English in Brazil when I was a kid. And
okay.
this is a normal thing in Brazil, like that, like the English classes, after
Mm.
school classes. And when I was at college, my last year of college, I got a scholarship in Columbia University to work in a lab there because at that time I was working as a research assistant in the lab in my college, working with autism and applied behavior analysis, ABA.
I,
This was like 20 years, 20 something years ago, 2002. So I went to New York. I stayed there for 3 semesters, like almost 2 years working in this lab, like doing research and presenting international conferences. And then I came back and I graduated, I got my certificate and I started like working as a psychologist. So yeah, at that time when I moved here 13 years ago, I knew a little bit in my other works as well. Like I had to speak in English, so but it was not that like fine language and fully confident speaking English. And I remember, and when I got here, I was recently a mom. My daughter, she was only 3 months old. So for 6 months, I was stuck in an apartment with a newborn, with a baby. And I remember like waiting for my husband to come back from work and handing them the baby and just going to like the not Publix but like a market basket in in the supermarket and just talking with the cashiers. I was so happy to, like interact and see
yeah.
people and start like practicing my English again. So it was like it's oh my gosh, your life just turned from upside down. It's I
Yeah.
would say incredible because we are so resilient,
Hmm.
and
Well,
very
you have a choice. You either,
things.
right. That's the thing is that I see in a lot of immigrants. I just literally had a meeting with someone and she came at 14 from Haiti, not knowing the language and to a Broward County. We talked about the culture shock and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, this is something I've heard for a long time. And this is why I created this podcast, Lidiana, like to break the stigma in the BIPOC, the Black Indigenous People of Color community. And just because I use that term does not mean I'm a left liberal. Okay. This is not politics. So if you're listening, because some people love to, it's just a very easy term that I grabbed and said, no, okay, that makes sense. And a lot of people understand it. But that, to break the stigma there and then the churches, because we have people suffering in so many different cultural places, right? And this is why I wanted you on just to speak about the Brazilian mental health situation because even though you have the immigrant thing like other cultures that come here, it's still different. It's a still different culture. And
Yeah.
so, you know, what are the most common mental health challenges you see in Brazilian and Portuguese speaking clients living here in the US? And how are these shaped by cultural and immigrant experiences?
One thing I can say, this is a very good question, and one thing I can say, I think most of my clients, their mental health issues are deeply tied with the immigration process, in a way that, for example, I'm gonna think about men when I see an adult man here in my office.
Mhm.
So Latino cultures, like you're saying, your family, we have this machismo mindset very strong, that places a man as the main breadwinner, the sole provider for the family, right? And for
Mhm.
the family well-being. So I see a lot of like families where the family came because of the man. He
Okay.
decided to immigrate due to work or better opportunities, or, I want to provide something better for my family, no matter reason. So, and they feel this pressure, like I need to take care of my family. I brought my family to this country. Now I have to, and the forces is like that, like pulls in every day. I need to succeed. I need to get better. I need to provide something
Mhm.
better for my family. So what happened is they start working like long hours, 7 days a week. They spend more time outside home than with the family. So they start feeling burnout, depressed or anxious because all the pressure building up on them. I hear this all the time. I feel like there's this amount of pressure in my shoulders right now.
Wow.
I feel like I cannot fail. And come on, we are humans, right? We fail sometimes. We don't succeed all the time. And I see for men a lot of like burnout, anxiety, depression, or even like they feel depressed because they start like disconnecting with the family because they spend so many hours traveling or working or trying to worrying about I need to make the ends meet.
Yeah.
So there's this huge amount of worrying that causes some anxious symptoms. When I see women, it's almost like the same, but there's like a difference because especially if they are mother, the first instinct is I need to help my family to adjust. I need to help my kids, I need to help my husband, I need to be this like they are counting on me. So, but also like me and like the others, we had like our network support and we had our friends, we had our family, we had our own careers, and when we come here, everything changes.
Yeah.
So there's all we are talking about adjustment disorders,
Yeah.
you're talking about also relationship issues because now they are not spending much time with their husbands. Now they don't have a family support. They don't have a safety network with them.
It's all about work. That's what I hear about a lot of the immigrants, right? They come in and it's like, you guys work too much. And I'm like, yeah, well,
And
I'm,
eventually they're gonna start like
yeah.
working long hours like their husbands or like their partners.
Yeah.
And again, there's like this this rupture and emotional distancing. And for the children, they also have their own struggles,
Oh, yeah.
you
That's
know,
what I deal with, or used to, is the second generation that
yeah.
come.
And
The
the second
ones, yeah.
generation comes like you said, you had like a client that she came here, 14 years old, didn't speak a word in English. The same thing. Imagine this kid coming here. They have to leave all their family and friends and house and pets
Mhm.
and school where they used to ace all the grades, and here because of the language barrier they can barely have like get a C or a D, so
Yeah.
they start failing academically, they start like impacting their relationships at school,
Yeah.
and because of it's not uncommon to see they are suffering bullying, and bullying takes into like the trauma realm, and then takes into substance use, define
Yes.
the positional behavior. Parents are not around all the time, so they feel also, and seeing the kids struggling also adds another layer of guilty into
Yeah.
the parents.
Yeah. And then that's where I know when I don't work with teens anymore, but they came to me because I had that I've done this, that's most of my career was working with alternative high schools or with teenagers in a nonprofit, and being who I am, I saw firsthand experience of that. To me, I also heard this kids that come here with that pressure, like you said, or they're born here. Okay. So say they're born here, came at 2 months, 3 months, but they grew up in the American system of how things are here. And the guilt that they have is I don't ever want to tell my mom or dad they sacrificed everything for me. I don't ever want to put that on them. I love them. And so they suck it up and they're like have their own inter trauma and then they're
Yeah.
anxious and depressed and now they're coming to me at 27, 28 years old, second immigrant, women and men and going, I grew up. And so I give them a space for them to be able to work that through without, that's the thing. They come feeling real guilty. I'm like, you're allowed to be upset that you didn't get what you needed from the parents that sacrificed for you. You're allowed to hold both, and
Hmm.
right, Lidiana? Like, that's a hard place because, you know, I get that situation because I was in it. Just like you get the situation of like the fear of, I mean, especially now, I can imagine my mom was in the 70s. She had a little more freedom with immigration and stuff. Now, with social media and everything, like, I don't know what the fear is because I was born here, but I could imagine the parents or going, oh my gosh, my stuff is in the court system. I'm trying to do the right thing, but is ICE going to come get me?
Yeah.
So,
And I see this in my office here, like people calling me, like I'm seeking therapy because my daughter started like having some separation anxiety. She's fearing going to school and something happened with us. And when she comes back home, she's not gonna see us. This is really sad. This is really like, and we are talking about a 5 years old daughter,
yeah,
like a very young kid,
yeah,
fearing for their family, fearing to talk with strangers on the street because if they realize that they are immigrant. The other day in session, someone like a kid told me, you know, I hate that they call us alien. And I was trying to understand, explain to them like what alien resident means, because they kind of like, because their parents keep like the TV on, watching the news, worry about, and they kind of like here and there, listen
yes.
here and there what they are talking about behind doors. And they start like making their own formulations about safety, about being vulnerable or not, trust, the trust information, like building trust with people. So and in some cases also the kids are ended up like getting involved because they are the main translators for their parents. So
That's it.
they
People
got
don't
involved
understand that.
with like lawyers conversation, doctor conversation.
Yeah, we're forced to grow up. That's why when people are like, "Wait, you were 23 when you got married and with a man with 3 kids." I'm like, by 23, I've experienced so much because of that. I had to grow up. I had to read the lease and I had to do everything for my mom because she couldn't speak the language. I know I went to a lot of therapy. I had to work through that. You know what I mean? I forgive that part and I still love her. There's just so much,
I know.
right?
And
And
one of the things that I see in kids also, cases of OCD because of the perfectionism, all the pressure. And I haven't seen cases like this in Brazil. I haven't seen cases like this even in Massachusetts, because in Massachusetts, although I was working with immigrant kids in
mhm.
elementary school and even trauma survivor, my main clients, my main community was not Brazilian community. And when I got here, I started seeing like very like I started seeing this pattern in cases, for example, second generation kids suffering from OCD. And they were like, that's this that's this I have my parents, they want me to follow these prestigious careers because I need to honor. They never had that. So they give up to provide me that. So I feel this responsibility. I need to take this role, but at the same time, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer.
Right.
But my whole family back in my country are expecting me to graduate and be the first doctor in the family.
That's it. I was the first.
Yeah,
I think I was might have been the first high school in my mom's side. I don't want to say on my dad's side, my mom's side. And so, yeah, and then she sacrificed. Lidiana, many of these immigrants come to work their tail off to send the money back to their people, to their family. That's what I had to work through that too. That resentment, I want to say, of like we were poor. I was hungry at times, but guess what? That money, that check went through Western Union all the time to pay for that. And I didn't understand as a kid. I did not understand. I understand it now as a grown 50 something year old woman who's raised four kids. But you see, this is what, what I'm seeing is like it is the immigrant story of first generation, the guilt
yeah.
and the shame. And then the second generation, what we see. How do we fix it, Lidiana? Now that we're both therapists and we've done the work, right? And we've seen things, how do you deal with, like, what do you do when someone comes into the office, let's say the first generation that comes in and, you talked about the machismo with the men and then the woman having that responsibility, but so I take it you do family therapy. I won't touch family therapy anymore. I can't. I'm just
I mean, primarily, I don't advertise myself as a family
okay.
therapist.
Hmm.
But what I usually do is I tell the parents, I don't come here saying to fix the kid. That's not the kid's problem. I think the kid is just like expressing or behaving accordingly I'm a behaviorist person, so I truly believe environment, can
Yeah.
play a huge influence in your feeling, although a behavior is pure behavior, they don't talk about feelings and emotion, but that's why I'm a cognitive behavior therapist. But it's like we have to check what's going on in the environment with the family system. When
Hmm.
someone in the family is not okay, it's because the system is not okay. It's unbalanced. So we have, for me, to restore the balance in the family system, we have to work with everybody. So what I do is I see the kid, but I also see the parents in
Okay.
separate sessions. And when I feel I need to put everybody together in the same room, I will do that. And because I usually incorporate play therapy in my work, I invite them to a play therapy session.
When you say them, like the whole family?
Sometimes, yeah, as parents and sometimes siblings and the kid.
Play.
And
Okay, tell me about that a little more because
because
I
I facilitate communication, for example. For example, when I propose an activity like with blocks with the kid with the family, and I start giving them providing them direction on what to do, I kind of like observe their communication style. I kind of observe who kind of like shy away and who is the bossy person, who and how like visually you see everything, the whole dynamic in a simple like playful activity. And
yeah.
after that, I kind of like after the play, we kind of like talking about our experience playing during the play, and I kind of like offer some feedback and insights from what I have seen, and also I role play during the play. I wrote, for example, if I want to teach a parent how to communicate with a client, a kid that it's throwing a tantrum. I will role play. I will like intervene and ask the parent to watch me. And then at the end of the session, we'll ask them, do you think you can do that? Or next time your kid behave this way, do you think you can, instead of raise your voice? Because a dysregulated parent cannot regulate a dysregulated kid. If you
Exactly.
like promote this emotional attunement, you look in the eye, lower your tone of voice, offer, be curious of what's going on with your kid. So I think during those sessions, these family sessions, they are amazing because they provide like so much intense like awareness to the parents about their kids and also their kids about their parents for the kids
Mm.
about their parents. And I have kids that they ask me when we're going to have another session with mommy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that what you see more of? Is the like individual, like the kid first, or so you do all people, like
Oh,
family?
my youngest is 5 and my oldest is 64 right now. So what I do is when I see adults, I see them individually, like morning time and after, like afternoon, it's all the kids.
Hmm.
And some sessions, separate sessions with parents in the mornings, and sometimes I will invite the parents. Oh, just be ready next week. We are gonna do a family session. I'm gonna put like the two of you together in the session.
Okay.
So
So how do you calm the anxiety or or like, help them with the depression? Because I know in my community, right? They don't trust the system at all. And especially like in the churches, they're like, wait, you need to pray, you have to have more faith or whatever. But also they don't trust like they come because many of our people come with understanding of different like herbs and other things besides the conventional
mhm.
American insurance model of things. So that was something was hard when I'm working with colleagues that are not culturally competent and they making assumptions right away of certain diagnoses. And I'm like, wait, no, like part of that culture, they have that religion and that's how they see things. So like, how do you educate those that don't have the cultural competency because the school system here, I mean, I didn't learn it. The only reason I'm culturally competent is because I come from a different culture and I challenged that DSM constantly when I was in school. My professors thought they're like, why are you in this field? Like, because I would always ask questions like, wait, why, who wrote this and why is this the belief system? Like, wait, where did this guy come from? Oh, Germany? Well, how does he know about what's going on in South America or Caribbean? Like, I always ask that. Plus, being in South Florida in Broward County, Palm Beach County, we have a taste of a different than many people across the country. So I want to understand, what do you do differently or not differently, but like culturally competent, or what do you want to say to people in our field or industry that you probably have seen things that have frustrated you?
Yeah, of course. And sometimes I get calls from colleagues that they say I have this case and it's a Brazilian family. I've been working with them for X amount of time and I feel like I'm totally lost. And I'm honest to say that I have not been successful in this case and refer to me. And then like after months, I get back to the colleague and I say, they are doing fine,
Yeah.
what's going on? And I said, it is about, I think like knowing the culture, knowing the background. As many Latino cultures, we are very spiritual. We are very religious
Hmm.
and I think one of the things that fail and when you don't know, it's when you deny that spirituality in
Yeah.
therapy, because they feel confronted about giving up about that it's really important for them. I think the other thing is Brazilian, they love the emotional connection and relation. They come to me and say, I started with this, for example, American therapist, and she was so cold.
Yes, yes. I
You
get a
know?
lot. I'm
Yeah.
like the fourth or fifth therapist a person has, and then they come and they're like, wow, like you understand. I'm like, you're right. And okay, I do not want us to sound like we're racist or
No, no, not at all. But
it's
I'm gonna give an example. They come
yeah.
here, they don't want to shake hands. They want to hug you,
Yes.
and they give you a hug and they ask,
Hmm.
"What are you doing?" and grab your hands and like they want to treat you as a family.
Yeah.
And we have to be as like I
Don't
have
touch me. Yeah.
at the same time, like, yeah, there's this mindset of like we need to follow the code of ethics, but at the same time, I need to be very responsive, emotionally responsive to this client, and I understand that it's important for them to be seen, to be like welcome within a warm and comfort and cozy environment.
Yeah.
And what I do in my, and I usually say to my colleagues, like, translate. If you're seeing this population, get everything translated, into their native
I
language.
love that. Yeah.
I have all my materials, even like all the consent forms, I have everything translated to Portuguese.
Good.
I
Good.
have
Good.
everything from the flyers in my waiting room to all the consent forms, all the tests and assessments. I look all the assessments out there, they are already translated in Portuguese. So I bring
Mhm.
it to my, and I explain everything. So the other thing, these are like little things, like we are very, because we value connection through music, we value connection through food. So in my waiting area, you're gonna see like bossa nova playing. You're gonna listen to
Oh,
bossa
bossa
nova.
nova. That's the music. Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna see some Brazilian treats in the
Oh
coffee
my God.
area.
The cheesy thing? What's the cheesy thing that I love so much?
Pão de queijo.
Oh my, when I got introduced to that, I'm like, I want to be Brazilian.
Because I know that sets the tone for them to
Yeah.
come and
It's
feel,
respect.
yes,
Yeah.
and feel home.
I love that.
They don't like to go into a place that feels like a doctor's office, a medical
Exactly.
doctor's office.
Exactly.
They want,
Hence, look at our offices. If you're not listening, I mean, if you're listening to this, go on YouTube and you're going to be able to see the video and you'll understand why our offices are the way they are.
yes, it's like their living room.
Yeah.
It's like
Welcome in. Yes.
yeah, their living room. So I usually say hire people if you want to work with Brazilian population, why hire people that speak their language, that can welcome them. S- The front office, like the front desk till the wait in the therapy room, like they
Mhm.
know what's going on. They understand like translate materials, like get to know the importance of the spirituality for them,
So let's
how
talk
the
about that.
monks that actually incorporate that
Yeah.
into the therapy, and so we are very spirituals, like I said.
Hmm.
Spirituality can play a dual role. It can be like a strength, like a source of support, but
Hmm.
also can be something that means that it's a lack of faith.
Yeah. So what you're talking about,
Mental health.
yeah,
So what we do is, so I get some clients here that they say, it took me a while to come and start therapy because in my mind or in my community, I was raised saying that if you get depressed, it's because you're not praying enough.
exactly.
You don't have enough faith. It's
Right.
almost like a spiritual weakness.
Well, that what we call because I've interviewed quite a few people, and that's what the religious trauma is. That is the spiritual bypassing. And if you're listening to this, I have quite a few episodes with different professionals that we talk about all that because you're right, it is a source of community and beauty and to feel at home, but it all depends on how healthy the church is because some churches are not healthy. They are a narcissistic system. And everybody there has been part of that narcissistic. And there's a book that I just finished reading called When a Narcissist Comes to Church by Dr. de Groot. I don't know if they have it in Portuguese or not, but I'm sure if you look up the book on Amazon, it'll say. But I say that because what you are talking about, Lydiana, I don't want to put the church down because spirituality is very, very important from Catholicism. I mean, doesn't Brazil have the big Jesus?
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you think about like in a census, we have a huge evangelical community, we have a huge Catholic community.
Mhm.
So the other thing that comes into that shows spirituality as some sort of like a barrier, it's when they think that there's some sort of like because I'm suffering from depression. I'm probably like suffering some negative influence from like an evil possession or a negative spiritual influence. So in this case, I don't need therapy. I need to like a spiritual cleansing, or I just need to pray more.
Right.
And that's the other thing. What I do is I don't confront them. I don't confront what I say. I meet where they are.
Hmm.
I try to say that therapy, it's not a competition. They don't need to choose between their spiritual belief versus therapy. It's a complementary tool. The
Yeah.
same way that, and I usually kind of like I tend to normalize the experience in a way that people with very deep faith, they also suffer from, mental illness. So I think it helps them break the shame and isolation. But also I say to them, I usually frame this, if God gives us doctors to heal our bodies,
Hmm.
God also gives us therapists to heal our minds.
Mm.
Also, we can be healed in our body, mind, and spiritual
Yeah,
and spirit.
exactly.
There's no competition. It's complementation. It's complementary.
Yeah, it's integration. It's integrating these things
Yes.
that are, to me, when your body is acting or trying to tell you something, right? Let's just take anxiety, for example, because I had anxiety. I still wrestle with it, but I've come to understand that the anxiety, what part is it? Is it the mind? Is it the spiritual? Or is it my body? Because maybe my estrogen levels are low and I haven't gotten blood work lately. And I'm realizing, you see where I'm getting, or maybe I had 4 cups of coffee this morning. I don't drink coffee, but you know what I'm getting
Uh-huh.
at. So it's like having that understanding to take that step back and not put it on one thing, understanding that we are created like in this mind, body, spirit connection, and our body's trying to tell us something. Depression, the same way. Because is it a chemical imbalance? It could be. Is it that we have carried for so long and we haven't filled our cup because we're taking care of children too much, or the husband, like you were talking about in the beginning, right? With that pressure, 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 pressure. Well, guess what? He's not sleeping, and if you're not sleeping well, your body's going to react. And then you're not eating well because guess what? You're working, and so let me hurry up and get the Burger King real quick. Or I don't know what do Brazilians love to eat? Fast food. I don't know. I'm
I
talking
don't.
about Americans.
Yeah, yeah, the same.
But you see what I mean? Like
Uh,
it is taking the step back and challenge. And this is what I love that you're a cognitive behavioral because it's a challenging the thought. Like, okay, here's it. So let's go there. What tools do you utilize? Like you said, play therapy. You human centered. Carl Rogers. I'm sure like sent right to respect the, you know, unconditional positive regard. But what else do you utilize any kind of like, hey, I don't know, like the triangle for CBT or
all the time. I do, because I work with trauma, I do TF, CBT, I do the CBT.
so let's explain that a little to the
Yes,
audience.
trauma. It's the
Trauma.
trauma focused CBT, cognitive
Hmm.
behavioral therapy.
Hmm.
So I usually say like I blend different approaches according to my client's needs. I do a little bit of play therapy, century, and art therapy with adults and kids and adolescents, no matter. The people think like play therapy is for more kids, but no, I do play therapy with adults and they love it. Century as well.
Okay, explain Santre because
Century,
honestly, I have.
you use like like century, I use like a century with miniatures.
Okay.
And my century room is over there, but I would love to show you one day. And so what we do is like this miniatures kind of like mimics it kind of gets the whole elements you have in the real world.
Okay.
Like you have like mini people, mini animals, mini food, and you have like mini like cars and objects and places like churches, school, and this. So what we do is we work with it's based on the symbolism.
Okay.
The century came from like the Jung approach, from psychoanalysis. Like you're
Co-
gonna work with the symbolic. So
Okay.
I will ask my client, how you feeling today? Use these objects to express that, and they are going to grab and grab whatever your hand feels to grab. Don't overthink too much.
Yeah.
And then they have to place on the sand tray, and they kind of like, there's no right and wrong. I cannot say anything to them how they need to play or place the objects in the sand tray. And after they are done placing the objects, we are going to talk about it, what they
Mhm.
did. And
Wow.
then comes all the insights.
Yeah.
Oh, I realized I placed myself at here on the corner and all my families are there. And then there's this fire. And then there's the school and this person, like this character looking very angry towards me or at me, or and that's when they start like kind of like talk. I think that it's a very, there's many different ways we can express our emotions.
Yes.
We can express through arts, through games, through talk,
Dance,
dance,
through
but
music.
also
Yeah.
like creating something. I think
Mhm.
the whole century process is very creative. It's like you bring what it's unconscious to the consciousness. When you look what you have done in the tray and you kind of like start talking about it. You know,
That's so cool. So you would have to see someone in person to do sand tray therapy unless right?
they do have like now some tools that you can do century virtually.
Uh-huh.
I've never done that.
Okay.
I like when the client is in person and we do. I
Yeah.
a playroom that there's like a century station there. There's like there's puppets and like all the pretend play, all the games, all the playhouse and everything. So the
Cool.
games and yes.
I love that.
I incorporate that. The other thing is during pandemic, I got a certification in MBSR, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction. At that time, I was living in Massachusetts, and where the MBSR was created was the UMass, the University of Massachusetts, the hospital. So they started applying mindfulness with chronic patients, or like
Mhm.
chronic pain patients or chronic illness patients. So and kind of like experimental and group control, like kind of like understanding if mindfulness would play some sort of like stress reduction into the body and
Mhm.
mind. And they actually they discovered that there is a huge like benefit when you practice mindfulness, and how actually helps reduce anxiety, pain, suffering, or even like you will start responding to situations versus reacting to situations. There's an increase in healthy coping skills, decrease in unhealthy coping skills. So I kind of like at that time I was working in a trauma survivors program, and I was like, oh, that would help my trauma clients.
Yeah.
So I love MBSR, and I work with my clients during sessions. We do different, like we do body scans, we do a yoga chair, we do like gratitude mind meditations, and there's different sort of like meditations. We are like even like eating mindfulness, walking
Mm.
mindfulness we practice here and I teach them, and then they have to practice at home. And I
Okay.
also I also translate most of the meditations that I've learned here in the United States. I translated in Portuguese, and I have a YouTube channel with all that playlist. We
Really?
as we call Conexão Presente, which means like present connection.
Will you send me the link so I could put it in the show notes?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No, seriously. That's what, this is where I was gonna ask you is what other tools set that you have come across or created for your clients that speak Portuguese or because this is another thing I realize, even though I try to do therapy in Spanish, porque yo hablo español. And
Mhm.
that's the thing, it's not fair that I realize all my Brazilian friends and neighbors, they understand my Spanish,
Yes.
but when they speak Portuguese, I'm like, no, I have no, I mean, I could pick up one word and I think it depends on what part of Brazil they're from.
Yes.
right? Like they're Portuguese, I
There's
could
huge
understand.
differences in accent.
Yes, or like in the words that they use, kind of like with us in
Larry. Hmm.
yeah. So sometimes I'm like, wait, I understand you, and then other times I'm like, I have no clue what you're saying. So what resources do you recommend, or is there any book in Portuguese that for mental health, or what do you have? Like now I know the YouTube channel. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I do the YouTube channel because all the time I was like searching on YouTube, like the same like translations for the activity we were doing here. And I couldn't find like good ones. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna face my, remember that I told you I'm very shy. I don't like much like the video and camera stuff, but I said, you know what? I have,
And here she is.
and here I am. So I was like, I need to face my fear of this and start like getting more confident producing like content for my clients.
Hmm.
So I do that. So now like every week I record a new episode and I put there. The other thing is I go to Brazil every year, sometimes twice a year. Every time I go, I'll bring with me tons of books and toys.
Mm.
And books for adults, for the parents, especially for the psychoeducation piece
Yes.
of like the parenting consultation, like and also for the kids, I bring a lot of books for the kids and a lot of toys. So you're gonna laugh at me if you see me coming back in the airport, coming back from Brazil, because I'm always bringing like a lot of stuff from there. Basically what I do is I keep myself tuned. I still have like lots of many friends that they are psychologists in Brazil. We talk daily through WhatsApp, and I'm also a member of the Brazilian Psychology Society in Brazil. So I'm always up to date, kind of like following, the tendencies in Brazil because even it's different how we practice therapy there and how we practice therapy here.
What do you mean?
Even like we have like I'm not saying that our code of ethics are different, but there's slightly differences, and also how we practice. Like how can I say this? I think the approach is different, even the forms, the consent forms, even the how we handle the the red tape part of our work, but also how we handle the sessions, for example, it's hard to explain, but it's like, for
Yeah, and you don't need to because we don't need to get ourselves in any
yeah,
kind of.
no, you go into, for example, you can offer like packages of therapy
Oh,
sessions,
like coaching.
but it's different. We have coaching there too, and there's this like when you are a coach, you cannot advertise yourself as a therapist or a psychologist.
So you don't, oh, yeah. So that's red tape. I understand what you mean now.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
different, but it's different in a sense. Like when they come here, they say, "Oh my gosh, therapy here is so different from Brazil," and I say, "Yes." So what I do is I keep myself updated with all the. Or for example, in Brazil, they're gonna shift all the discussion or the parental concerns for one thing because we have problems like adolescent issues, problems there that they don't happen here,
Yeah.
vice versa.
Really?
Yes. So it's because it's tied with the way we raise our kids,
Mhm.
you know.
That's true. Wow. Wow. So, I mean, but they still have,
So what I have to do, even
yeah.
when we think about food, when we think about like, when you have like a sensitive kid with food issues,
Hmm.
eating disorders, it's
Yeah.
different because the way we approach nutrition is different the way we approach nutrition here.
Yeah.
Way like the way you raise your kid when your baby there is different when you raise your baby here.
I can imagine. Like, I
Yeah.
know, like, for me, I was like, there was no crib in my house.
Yeah. The same thing, like
But
when
then the pediatrician was freaking out. But that's because I took information from outside of America to learn because I,
like breastfeeding, you
right,
know,
right.
the
Right.
breastfeeding talk, and even like how can we parent our kids physical punishment versus positive
Yeah.
talk,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Well, I think there's a change in that. I don't know. I saw
Oh
some
yeah, there's a
big
huge change
here
shift.
now shift
Yes.
because people are realizing, and I'm not talking about corporal punishment because to me there is a way to communicate with
Yeah.
all ages with that because you're what you said earlier, a regulated parent can help regulate a child. But what happens is when a parent's dysregulated,
Yeah.
they pop off, get angry, or they, to me, when a parent gets dysregulated, because I'm in the internal family system, like learning a lot, that's a part of them that was not healed. And or you did not learn healthy coping skills, right? And that's the job that we do. It's not like, oh,
Oh,
there's so,
even like when we talk about the community,
Mhm.
like we are very collectivist society versus individualistic society. That's a
Right.
huge,
Yeah.
a kind of like shock of
Mm,
realities. Because I come from a community that says it takes a village to raise a child, and
yeah.
it's different, especially when you here and when you're an immigrant and you don't have your safety network.
Right.
So what I try to do is I keep myself updated what's going on in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Even like if there's like an author that it's placing something new in the market, and I buy the books and I start watching the videos and following and reading more, because the parents, they will come and they will say, oh, do you know this X so and so person that now it's talking about this in Brazil? And you have kind of like you have to know, what they are talking
Yeah.
about.
Exactly. No, you have to stay connected to your people somehow, some way, even though we're here to, I know that they love to say melting pot, but to me, I'll never forget when I was in college, someone said, no, we're a fruit salad, not a melting pot. I know that we are Americans, like here in this country, because it's true. If I went to Brazil, I want to learn how to be Brazilian, respect the culture. So here, though, it's a fruit salad because some of us are sour grapes and other ones are sweet cherries, but we still come together to make something beautiful,
Yeah.
right? But we still have our cultures and to respect one another and to be kind to one another and to understand one another instead of having this fear of like, or the othering. You know what I mean by that? Because that's the bullying you're probably talking about in high school or schools is that you're this, you're that. I remember being called, oh, I was called so many names from a different culture I wasn't even part of just because of the way I looked.
Hmm.
Most people think I'm from the Middle East, from India. So it was just like, I'm like, okay, if you're going to make fun of me, at least make fun of me because I'm Latina, not because, or whatever. So I had to learn how to deal with that. And that's what, that's the thing. We are now at a place where we're seeing how do we help the next generation? How do
Yeah.
we? So let's talk about a little bit before we go, because I mean, it's been an hour already. I'm like,
Wow.
I know, right? Um,
I feel like there's so much to say yet.
yeah, for real. So I just want to know a little bit about your collective because this is so important. Because there aren't, we live in South Florida where there's a big Brazilian population. I am telling you, just go to Deerfield Beach north of the pier and everybody's playing volleyball with their butts. I don't even know what that is, but they're all Brazilian guys and girls. And I'm like, what is this? Uh,
Beach volley.
What is it called?
Beach volley.
Yeah, beach volley, but they're not playing with their hands like
No,
volleyball.
no.
It's with their feet.
Yes.
And I'm going, this is flipping cool. Because I grew up on that beach, and that's, it's changed a lot. Well, anyway, beach volley. All right, cool. See, I'm learning something new. I want to know about the collective because that's what I'm saying. Like, I know of schools, private schools around the corner that have a big population of Brazilians and churches and stuff. And they asked me, where do I know? And when I met you, that's why I'm like, Lidiana, you got to come on. I know you and Dr. Temis are the only two therapists that speak Portuguese fluently, where I can be like, here, parents, you talk to them, and the
Mhm.
kids get to, because they speak English. But yeah, tell me about this collective.
So it was like very natural. I hadn't planned anything about the collective. It was like when I moved here. So that's when I got to, so when I moved here to Florida, just to be more close to my culture, so I could raise my daughter close to her roots, right? So, and I know Florida, New Jersey, Massachusetts, they are the three largest states, United States, with the largest community, a Brazilian community in the
I
United States.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yes. So, and especially South Florida and Orlando area, right? So when I got here, I start getting so visiting, talking to people, visiting it, clinical work can be very isolating. So my first thing is I need to start connecting with people. So I start attending the association's workshops and trainings. I start meeting people and I start like visiting Brazilian doctor's office, just to get to know people. And I understood that my realization was like there's just a few professionals in the field, this huge need for culturally sensitive therapy for my
Mhm.
community, and even these few professionals, they are not connected. I mean, there was like a handful WhatsApp groups that they would speak, or they would say, "Oh, I've heard about this person, but I've never met with her or with them." So what I start to do is, as soon as I open my practice here in Boca, I start inviting these professionals to come like once a month on a Friday afternoon, and as you imagine, they will bring like pão de queijo, café, coffee, and like will become like a small party. But
Yeah,
it was like a networking event.
I love
And
that.
then every month you're gonna, yeah, I saw new faces coming, and then they will bring more people, and then they start bringing more people. So it was like the creating the collective was just the next step. It was an inevitable
Hmm.
because they were there and they were thirsty for connection, and they were amazed by finding like fellows like them, like I can't
Yeah.
believe that you are in Weston. I can believe you're in Aventura. I can believe you're in Palm Beach Gardens. I can believe, like, and we start connecting, and we are talking about psychiatrists, we are talking about nurse psychiatrists, we are talking about therapists, we are talking about master's students, registering interns, occupational therapists, speech therapists, neurologists.
Wow.
It's a mental health professionals collective. It's not
Yeah,
only therapists.
I love
It's
that.
like ABA professionals, therapists, because it's everyone that it's in some form like related to the like providing services in the mental health field.
Hmm.
Even case managers, we have case managers. So today we are about 50 members. Yeah,
Is there a list? Because listen, this
yeah.
is something that me, like someone that gets called because they're like, oh, can you? And I'm like, no, I don't speak Portuguese. I try to speak Spanish really well, but that I'm not going to do, I just know my boundaries, right? But this is something that I think we all need in the field. Like, making the list and handing it over to the president of the mental health Counselor Association of Palm Beach and Broward. Because I do events and I like to moderate. I'm thinking already, like, oh my goodness, here in Deerfield Beach, we can create an event with you and Dr. Temis and one other person. And even though I don't speak Portuguese, I bet you anything, we do a Brazilian mental health something. People will come because they're
That would be
hungry.
great.
Yes, that would be, we're needing that. You're right. We need to break stigma in all cultures. We need to teach others in our field how to be culturally competent.
Mhm.
There's got to be, well, after we're done here, we'll connect, and I'm sure I'll see you again, and we'll have conversations and everything. But I'm excited for what you have going on, and if you want to adopt a Latina that speaks Spanglish to your group, I'm more than welcome to come and try to learn
You're
Portuguese.
welcome to come because it is amazing because what we do is we have networking like social events, but
Hmm.
also we have training events, meetings. We have a list of providers. Now we have a website now. And this website, we have a list of providers there. And
So I could put that website in the show notes and somebody can,
yes,
anyone that's now listening to this and
yeah,
they're wanting Portuguese speaking,
yeah.
understanding of the culture. Oh my goodness, that is wonderful.
It's amazing because the website is for both, like if you want to become a member into
Mm-hmm.
the collective, or
Mm-hmm.
if you're just like someone that is seeking for a Brazilian provider, you can
Yes.
go there because that's one of the perks of becoming a member. You have your own information, you have your information on the website, like a
Okay.
list of providers.
Okay.
So, and since we started, it was amazing. For example, I have like cases of registered interns. They said, "Oh my gosh, I fill up my all my caseload now since I start attending these meetings and became part of the collective because we are doing this referral all the time." And that was me as a public health specialist.
Mm.
We need to increase the access to
Yes.
the population.
I
We
agree
open
100%.
up doors.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard, since I got here, I've heard like horrible cases about people feeling misunderstood, belittled, misdiagnosed, or not like seeking for therapy due to language barrier, like, or oh, the only therapist I knew, she was private. She couldn't accept health insurance. Yes, we do have therapists that accept health insurance. We
Okay.
do have a therapist that accept Medicare. Like that works with all sorts of health insurance. And so we have like school psychologists that
Good.
does assessments. We have all sorts of type of professionals that right now takes part. And one other thing is we also serve as some provide guidance to the professionals like me. When I came to Brazil, I didn't know what to do, where to go to get my license. It took me like probably 6 months to understand all the path. So we welcome those clients as well, those members as well. Come and
Mm.
join us, even if you're not fully
Yeah.
licensed or even
Yeah.
if starting your license process. But at least you're gonna get trained here. You
Mm.
get orientation, guidance. You're gonna know what to do. We have like interns seeking for internship, and we have qualified supervisors in our group. So it's been amazing.
I love it.
I think it was meant to be.
Of course, Lidiana, this is amazing. I am so glad that I kept on you because I think it was two times that I came up to you, right? It was
Yeah.
one time I'm like, I need you on my show. And you're just like, I don't talk. And I'm like, and then the second time I saw you, I go, this is a sign. You go, please come. I'm in Deerfield. I know I need you to. So listen, this is great. I am so excited for this because that's the whole point of this show is to try to get resources as much as I can to the people that I want to serve, but I can't. I know I have just my bandwidth, but I also understand that God gave me the ability to network and to bring things together on for a reason, and that's it. We're here to take care of. We're here to build a village.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We're here to and to help those that are suffering and make them understand they're not alone because and yeah, everything you talked about, I've seen it through either personally or the lens of others. And you're only one person, but if we build the village and we build the resources and the person listening is like, "Oh, wait, there's this link." I mean, I can imagine right now that I hope that someone's listening looking for Brazilian mental health either goes to understand it more or they go get the help they need without shame or guilt.
Yeah, what we are doing right now, we are attending like Brazilian fairs, we are attending like Brazilian events, and we set up a table of the collective table, and we invite all the members. They go there, they give out their flyers and talk about their work. Like in we had an event in September that the consul was there talking about the collective, Brazilian consul.
I love it. This
So
is great, Lidiana.
it's amazing. It is
Yeah.
amazing, how things are growing. And
Mm,
like you, I felt the same way. I'm alone. I'm just one person. How can I help these people out there? I
yeah.
cannot see all of them in my office, but I can think about solutions that the help they need will be just an arm's length,
Yeah.
you know, from
Yes.
them. So the
Yeah.
idea of the collective is this, it's just like enhance access, increase access,
Yes.
give everybody the opportunity to have a decent service, a culturally sensitive service, so they can speak their language. And we know that trauma work and therapeutic work it's tied with our native language,
Mhm.
to process it in a deep way.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, because there is a lot of misunderstanding in words, and we could sit here like another hour talking about that too.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you would like to say in your native language right now to anybody that speaks Portuguese or that are Brazilian? I might not understand it, and that's okay because it's a beautiful language that you would like to say to someone listening.
Ok, here we go. A ideia do coletivo é da gente poder servir vocês, da gente poder conseguir trazer um serviço de qualidade, decente, que entenda, que ofereça esse espaço para vocês cuidarem da sua saúde mental, né? Então, eu faço isso com muito amor, muito carinho. Eu tenho uma filha que está sendo uma second generation, né, de uma segunda geração aqui. Eu penso, assim como ela, assim como como a minha família, né, de ter o melhor aqui para gente do Brasil, que mora aqui do Brasil, pensando que a gente está lá no Brasil, mas a gente está aqui.
Wow.
Did
Okay,
you
so
get
I
something?
understood a little bit about the collective mental health second generation. I picked up a few here and there, but that was great. And I just hope whoever is listening that you understand there is help out there and please seek it. Do you service the whole state of Florida, Lidiana? Are you hybrid?
Yes. No, yes, I do online and virtual. I do virtual and in person. Yes, I have clients that I've never seen in person. So I
Okay.
do both
Through
virtually.
the whole state of
Yes.
Florida.
The whole,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, wonderful. And is this collective just for Florida? Or are you trying to bridge
Actually,
it?
when we started, we thought about something like South Florida. In our later discussions, people like the members are saying, no, we have to do this like nationally.
Yeah. So
You
little by little, it's a grassroots movement. That's what we call it, a grassroots
So
movement.
that's our vision.
Okay.
Maybe like we were just like creating mission and vision statements.
I
And one
love that.
vision is becoming this leader association, like
Hmm.
national association.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
Little by
knows,
little,
right? You
little
never
by little. That's wonderful, Lidiana. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your heart and sharing for the beautiful Brazilian population because I love them so much. I'm thinking of all the people that and the families that I did serve back in the day when I was with the teenagers and their parents. They'd come in and they come with all the food and that was the thing. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not allowed to have gifts. But then I understood. I'm like, no, that's part of the gift. And it was tasty. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Anyway, Lydia, thank you so much. And listener, please do not forget to trust in the Lord, guard your heart, and renew your mind. Bye.
right?
And now for the disclaimer to make sure you understand that you are responsible for you. The content provided on the Holistic Counselor podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or mental condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast are my personal opinions and do not represent the views of any professional organizations with which I am affiliated. Call your doctor, 911, or 988 immediately if you have a medical emergency. The Holistic Counselor podcast does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the podcast. Reliance on any information provided by the Holistic Counselor podcast, guests appearing on the podcast at the invitation of the Holistic Counselor podcast, or other listeners to the podcast is solely at your own risk. Confidentiality notice. If you engage with the Holistic Counselor podcast by commenting or posting and are a client, please be aware that you may be revealing information that could compromise your confidentiality. Please remember that disclosing your identity or personal details can be linked to your clinical material. As a therapist, I am bound by confidentiality and will not respond to any disclosures of this type on this podcast. I am committed to upholding the ethics and confidentiality of the therapeutic relationship, which extends to all forms of communication in accordance with the laws and professional guidelines that govern mental health professionals. I want you to know that your privacy is of utmost importance, and you are responsible for protecting it when interacting on this platform or any other public forum. Thank you.